Now, after 8 grueling months, the National Executive Council of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has agreed to suspend the strike. Now, the animating news followed an all-night, Thursday meeting into early this morning. Now, please note that the strike has only been suspended and not called off. This development is sequel to last week's ruling of the Court of Appeal, which asked the union to obey the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, if you remember. But then ASUU insists on 2 conditions before it calls off the strike. ASUU President Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke says, let me quote him, 1, a concrete agreement with the federal government, and 2, an order by the National Industrial Court to the effect would suffice for now. I dare say, Jide, it's not yet Uhuru.
Yes, by labor laws, when you suspend your strike, it means that you can resume the strike without officially communicating to your employer. Because before going on strike, you must communicate with your employer.
Okay.
But where you suspend the strike, you reserve the right to resume at any time without a formal notification to your employer. So, and this is what ASUU always does, because ASUU over the years has come to see the federal government as not reliable, as always not fulfilling its obligations. So for that reason, it has learned to suspend the strike so that it can resume that strike at any time. Even the NMA, that was the same thing that the NMA did. Our government needs to be able to earn the trust of workers so that there will be greater industrial harmony. A situation in which you go into an agreement, you get them to suspend their strike, only for those issues to remain unattended to, is the main reason we have all kinds of problems, because nobody wants to look at himself and feel that he's been cheated or he's been snookered in a way, deceived. You know? So you want to see the federal government behave like a government that sees its word as
father figure.
Bond. That whatever you say, you are obligated to honor it. So in this case now, they are depending on Speaker Gbajabiamila, because Gbajabiamila told them he will extract some commitments from the president. So they are hopeful that Gbajabiamila will be able to see that through. He's already inserted 470 billion into the 2023 budget.
Yeah.
You know, what the government said it was going to put in the budget was 150 billion, and ASUU declined. But Gbajabiamila and his team have now gone ahead to put 470 billion in the budget. This was similar to what he did with the NMA when the Minister of Labour couldn't resolve the strike issue. The issue of fund for the training of doctors was one of the reasons they went on strike. It was Gbajabiamila that went ahead to insert it in the budget, and NMA decided to end the strike. So we are grateful to him for the steps that he had taken. And frankly, if those steps had been taken, and ASUU had been reassured that, look, if the issue of IPPIS will be modified to accommodate the peculiarities of the university system, I'm sure this strike would not have lasted this long. You know, so
essentially, it is a trust wahala.
Yes, even now, this strike has been suspended in the hope that those things that they promised them that they would do, they will go ahead and do
do
it.
them. Mayor, to think that university strikes had been a long time coming, 1972 through to now, and is still a recurring decimal. But this suspension has divided opinion in the land.
Yeah, it has to do with leadership. The problem that we have with the universities has to do with lack of leadership on the part of government. They will, if you sit down with some people and you negotiate with them, though I concede that it is not this government that did the negotiation, but government is a continuum. So if you negotiate with people and you give commitment to do certain things, it behoves on you to do those things. When you don't do that, you don't gain the trust that is necessary for people to be able to do business with you. And that is a major problem. But the lack of leadership is also play a major part, because Bajabi Amila just got involved recently, some weeks ago, and he has been able to resolve the problem. So I think it's the style of leadership, because people, they should be able to meet them halfway and give them enough assurance for them to do that. But I think one of the reasons why they call it off too is the master stroke from Ngigi, from the Minister for Labor and Employment. The master stroke in the sense that when he went to the industrial courts, there has been a stalemate for a long time. They kept meeting and there was no headway. So he went to the industrial court. And by going to the industrial court, he has already put them under pressure to be able to change, to bend a little bit, because the industrial court says, okay, before we proceed, go and call off the strike. You understand?
Okay.
And they now went to the appeal court to say they don't want to do that. And the appeal court says, go and before you can start, go and call it off. So they have no choice. They are already boxed in a corner for them to call off the strike. But luckily for us, Bajamia Abila has stepped in and has been able to give them some assurances. So I think that by and large, the problem, we are towards the end of the problem, because Bajabi Amila will be able to give them commitment. He has started with that, with the money that he has provided. So the other thing they just needed to do is for them to come up with some other things, which they will now take to the industrial court as settlement for judgment on that matter.
Yeah.
So instead of the case, what they will just do is for them to have an agreement and take that agreement to the industrial court as a judgment ruling.
And people, Nigerians reading politics into it is natural. They say, oh, because the elections are coming, and so they are suspending and blah, 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 blah. And I hear things like many students have been engaged entrepreneurially, they have gone into jobs and all that.
No, I think that the statement that the ASUU chairman made, that parents should not vote for the APC-led government because of the way their children have been made to sit at home and suffer, was what made the minister to start saying that he has politicized
the whole thing.
Yes, but that statement must have been made out of frustration. I don't think it has.
But it's not appropriate.
Yes, I said he must have made that statement out of frustration because of sleepless nights, negotiating. A government signs an agreement, memorandum of action, which prompted them to go back to work, and then not one of them, not one, they do fulfill. A government sets up by itself 2 different committees to say, negotiate the 2009 agreement. The Mozalin Jibrin came up with his own recommendations. They did not even look at it. Then Neme Briggs, you also set up another one. You were not happy with what Mozalin Jibrin came up with. You're somebody that you nominated by yourself. Then Neme Briggs came up with his own. You also refused to even talk about it, not to talk of implementing what they suggested. There is nobody that you will tell to head a committee of that nature that will not tell you that there is a need to increase the salaries of professors.
Yeah.
And because since 2009, the agreement has not been renegotiated Whereas it was, at inception, it was agreed that it would be renegotiated.
All right, Jide, I
from
hear
time
we
to
must
time.
move on. But again, the debate continues. I hope the light we are seeing at the end of the tunnel is not that of an onrushing train.